Let's talk about psychological tips to help you quit smoking. Some of you might be current smokers who haven't started vaping yet but are interested in vaping and just trying to learn more about it. Some of you might be dual users, which would be using both e-cigs and tobacco products. And some of you might be full-time vapers, but you might know somebody else who is still a smoker. No matter which group you're in, these tips will help you or a loved one to eventually quit smoking. One of the first things you can do to help you start the difficult task of quitting smoking is to learn about the benefits and drawbacks of quitting smoking. So you know that quitting smoking has some benefits, such as that it will save you money, it will reduce the risks of heart disease, it reduces the risks of cancer and other smoking-related illnesses. It will increase your lifespan. It will improve your quality of life. You'll be able to exercise if you want to. You won't stink like cigarettes anymore. You won't have to go outside to smoke all the time. And your health and life insurance rates will go down. And there are also some drawbacks to quitting that you need to understand. It will be extremely difficult. You will probably gain weight for a while, and you will lose the social aspect of smoking with others. And knowing the full extent of your habit will really let it sink in, and will also let you fully prepare for what's in store for when you quit. All right, the second tip: figure out what triggers you. So all smokers have triggers that lead them to smoke. These can be both physical and psychological triggers. For example, stress from work, social anxiety, driving, eating, drinking coffee, and so on. Obviously, there are triggers you can't avoid, such as waking up, driving, or going to sleep. And in these cases, you need to disconnect the habit of smoking with these triggers. Before fully quitting, you can try to avoid smoking during these times to slowly work towards distancing the habit from the trigger. Your mind has been conditioned to expect the reward of nicotine during certain triggers. When your mind stops receiving that reward, it will begin to rewire itself to no longer expect it. It'll be hard for a while, but know that these triggers will go away. When you're struggling with a trigger, try taking deep breaths, or distract yourself by counting to 100, or by going through the ABCs in your mind while picturing something for each letter of the alphabet. Something that I've heard, that when you are triggered to smoke, that trigger only lasts for about 3 minutes. So if you can distract yourself for longer than 3 minutes, hopefully you can get over it. And the sights and smell of cigarettes or smoke can also trigger your desire to smoke. So the smell on your clothes, the smoke wafting through the air from the smoking section at work, and a lighter sitting on the counter can all set off a trigger. So think of every trigger possible and do your best to eliminate or avoid it. Wash all of your clothes to get rid of the smell, throw away your cigarettes, your lighters, your ashtrays, walk the long way around the smoking section at work, and stay away from other smokers if you can. All right, the next psychological tip is to seek support. So a lot of people feel like quitting smoking is something that they need to do on their own, but evidence shows that getting support anywhere you can is more likely to result in quitting. You want to talk to your friends and family members about your desire to quit, and try to get close friends to quit with you, or ask them not to smoke around you. And if you need to, stop spending time with smoking friends, or at least temporarily in the early stages of quitting while your desire to smoke is the strongest. And research has also shown that counseling greatly increases the likelihood of quitting smoking. And I know counseling seems silly or even embarrassing to a lot of people, but it works. If you're serious about quitting, consider giving it a try. All right, the next tip: challenge and reward yourself. So one of the biggest psychological challenges of quitting smoking is thinking that you have to quit entirely right away. Instead, consider setting a realistic goal. Maybe quit for a couple of hours per day when you would normally smoke, and then move towards quitting for a day or two at a time. And you can celebrate those small victories and then keep challenging yourself to go bigger. And with each big victory, you can also reward yourself. For example, for the first time you don't smoke for a full day, you can buy yourself something special, like a fudge brownie or something, something sweet, a dessert or something, or dinner. Make it something that you're really looking forward to. And if you fail the challenge, you don't get that reward, but you can always keep trying. And for something big, like say for example, you go a full month without smoking, you can put the money that you saved by not smoking towards a nice gift for yourself. And many people are pack-a-day smokers. That's about $150 per month, depending on where you live. That could be a pretty awesome gift to yourself at the end of the month. All right, the next tip here: use a nicotine replacement product. Research has shown that less than 7% of people who try to quit without medications or nicotine replacement products are successful. Medications like Zyban, Chantix, and nicotine replacements like gum and lozenges increase percentage of quitters by up to 33%. And I know that many people are not fans of pharmaceuticals, and I can understand that from a lot of the horror stories that I've read about Chantix, but it does work for some people. It worked for my mom, actually, who smoked for 40 years. So you shouldn't rule it out entirely if you've never tried it. Nicotine replacements like gum, lozenges, and the patch are also great aids in helping you stay away from tobacco. And although electronic cigarettes are not an FDA-approved cessation product in the US, it is in the United Kingdom. There is plenty of research showing that vaping greatly reduces harm when it replaces a smoking habit. We also know from thousands of personal stories from vapers that vaping can work to help you quit smoking. And it worked for me. I haven't smoked since 2010. Vaping is the closest that you'll get to the sensation of a real cigarette. And for some people, this is exactly what they need to quit. And what most people do is they start at a high milligram nicotine level and then work their way down to 0 until eventually quitting entirely. And no matter which method you take to quit, if one fails, try another. You never know which one might work best for you. All right, the next tip: replace bad habits with good habits. So people who have bad habits often need to replace their former habits with new ones. And a lot of times you'll hear about former drug addicts or alcoholics discovering that exercise fills the void that they were missing from drug use. So try to find a healthy habit, like running, weightlifting, or cooking healthy meals. Keeping your hands busy will also help. For example, you can try taking up drawing, painting, knitting, woodwork, or some other hands-on activity that you're interested in. And the final tip here, satisfy oral fixations. So when people quit smoking, they often feel the need to keep something in their mouth to satisfy an oral fixation. There are many things you can do. My favorite obviously being an electronic cigarette, but you can also try things like chewing gum, breath mints, chewing toothpicks, straws, cinnamon sticks, or licorice root sticks, eating hard candy, eating sunflower seeds, eating hard vegetables like carrots and celery. And I've also heard that people will use something called miswak. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's an Arab root used to clean teeth. One thing to be cautious of is that many quitters try to solve their oral fixation by eating foods, which can cause weight gain. And nicotine often staves off hunger, so when you quit smoking, you're already going to start gaining weight, probably. So if you add foods into that equation to cure that oral fixation, you might gain even more weight. If you're worried about that, try something healthy that won't result in gaining weight. So that's all my tips. It's said that it can take about 72 hours for peak withdrawal from smoking. So those first 3 days are going to be the hardest, and these are the days that you'll need to prepare the most for. As a smoker, you know that this isn't going to be easy and there will likely be a relapse, but don't worry, it happens. The simple fact that you've been able to quit temporarily shows that you can keep doing it again and again, and each time quitting for longer periods of time.